on to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gonna give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
You there, Bully? What's happening?
Yeah. What's up, my brother?
You got me. Episode 71. What's up, everybody? Remember the Show, episode 71. Jason Anik, Belal, remember the name Muhammad. So, dude, a week off last week, and in the UFC, 2 weeks away. It's like that train moves so fast. It's like everything's stale, right? It feels like a month ago you're talking about Amanda Nunes, being cocky. That was like just a week ago. You know what I mean?
Dude,
just nuts,
I literally
man.
just saw her lobby earlier today, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go up to her and clear the air. But I was like, nah, I don't want her to swing on me. So I walked away. I'm like, I hope she don't see me right now. I'm like,
so you didn't clear the air?
Yeah, but I'm sitting there I shouldn't have to clear the air. First of all, I was on my Instagram live. Second of all, Juliana Penn is my teammate. Third of all, I didn't say anything crazy outlandish. I said that don't sit there and say, oh, I could have finished her, but I decided not to finish her because I wanted to punish her. I'm like, there's nobody in the UFC that decides to just go 5 rounds. They want to. Everybody wants to finish it. Everybody wants to get out of there as quick as possible. And, your face is swollen after the fight. You're walking with a limp. You have crutches. I'm sure you did not want that to happen. So that could have happened in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round because you didn't want to finish her in the 1st.
Yeah, I mean, I agreed with everything you said. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I agreed with every word of it. And interestingly enough, while I didn't have a great appetite for the trilogy right off the bat after listening to you, yeah, you're right. Like Juliana finished her. Amanda didn't finish her. It could be certainly hard to deny her at some point, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm telling people people are like, oh, well, she got dominated for 5 rounds. Well, okay, when you put it that way, but she came out with southpaw. Juliana did not think that she was coming out southpaw. We never seen Amanda come out as a southpaw. Juliana still in this fight caught her with some nice shots. She just didn't have no answer for the southpaw portion of it. And then the 3rd, 4th, and 5th round, you saw Amanda take her down and use her wrestling more. That tells me that Amanda Nunes wasn't comfortable on the feet. She was getting caught with some good punches, hard punches. She may have gotten a little bit tired. And obviously she's strong. She's good everywhere. So she decided to take it to the ground and play in her guard, even though Juliana was still throwing up some nice arm bars, some good submissions. So she wasn't just laying there off her back, just getting beat up for those last 3 or 4 rounds. But the fact that Amanda had a turn to wrestling tells me that, she didn't like something on her feet as well.
I'm with you. Appreciate too much BHP. Appreciate the shout out. And Bully, I like you. And I say running your mouth in a good way. I like you running your mouth. And you're right. Juliana is your teammate and people want to hear what you have to say. And you're right. There is no apology needed, but you're such a good dude. You don't want beef with anyone. That's why you consider clearing the air, right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the only reason.
I don't want her to think that I'm coming at her. You saw these media outlets posting it me and Amanda Nunes are supposed to fight right now. They're
yeah, Belal Muhammad slams Amanda Nunes,
Yeah, I'm like, bro, first of all, relax. She's still the best woman fighter to ever do it. She's the woman GOAT. I respect her. Obviously, she's a double champ. She's the first to do it. She's now the current double champ. So I have respect for Amanda Nunes more than anybody out here. But I also have respect for my teammate, and I also had my teammates back no matter what. And we gave her the quick rematch after finishing her. So I think that Juliana deserves a rematch now, knowing that Amanda does have these new tools in her pocket that we didn't know about. All right, well, she does have southpaw. We see how her cardio held up. This new gym that she has, we didn't know which Amanda was going to pop up, and we found out.
So always tricky on this show when fights happen and we haven't had a chance to rap about it. And then I never intended to even go there, but I had to get it out of you. So I got to ask you one question since we're on that fight. I've heard back and forth different people talk about the arm bars and how sort of close any of them were. What do you think?
I mean, I think there was one armbar that was actually close, pretty close. That one that was really tight, where actually Amanda went to her back. But like the other ones, the omoplatas, there's really nothing there. They're like shoulder locks. I'm watching it with my brothers and stuff. It's like, oh my god, what's going on? I was like, there's nothing there. I just feel that there's a couple of those situations where Juliana should have used those to scramble up to her feet and try to get up instead of playing more off her back. And like I said, I feel like she got dropped 3 times in the first round and dropped in the second round. So I think a lot of that was just her getting flustered and, not wanting to go back to her feet because there was literally no answer for the southpaw. I was messaging my coach during the fight, hoping that he would look at his phone. But to me, I felt like she should have still moved to Amanda Nunes' left side when she turned southpaw because Amanda Nunes' power hand is still her right hand. And then when you're going against southpaw, you don't want to go to their left side because you think that's their power hand. But Amanda Nunes, she's normally an orthodox fighter, so her power hand is still her right hand, and that's why she was catching her with that right hook every single time. And her coaches from Seattle, Greg Little, was telling her to, just wrestle. And I feel like he should have been more, had a better game plan for it or a better idea for it. But I just feel like they were all a little bit flustered with seeing her go to southpaw and stick to southpaw. You see a lot of time where guys will switch from orthodox to southpaw, but it'll be, for a moment here, a moment there, and then they'll always switch back. Amanda stayed there the whole time, and she looked good doing it the whole time. She had pretty good defense, and, it was a great tactic by her, a great game plan by her because we didn't expect it at all.
So speaking of southpaw, you're on the left coast, are you not? The best coast, the great state of California. I thought you were working the desk, but no, you were there cornering GM3, are you not?
Yeah, he's a southpaw as well. So I took here the California, and honestly, they have us like in a weird little spot over here where there's really nothing around us, but like the weather is amazing.
Isn't it just like nowhere in the world, man?
It's so nice. And like I'm going with Gerald, and he likes to go on walks. So we're like going on like 2-hour walks down the bay because we're right next to the bay, and it's like looks so nice. I'm just like, I'm not a walker. I'm like, yeah, I'd rather just jog. But it's his fight week, so I give him this little walking time.
I love it. Any hills or stairs for you to get on, or pretty flat walking?
I actually found a sick pool area that was a gym probably like 20 minutes away that I went to. It was like a rooftop pool, so went there today, did some laps, and they had like a bunch of weights outside. But around us is like flat area, so you get a lot of miles in over here just jogging, but there's no hills or stairs.
Well, it's all right. You still got a couple months. We're still a couple months out, so we can take a few liberties right now for GM3.
We'll catch some vitamin D, get some sun, get some jogging in.
Yeah, I love it. So anyway, we're trying to tighten things up here around Remember the Show. Of course, I have my fucking microphone muted to start the show, and we're trying to tighten things up. But anyway, we're going to get to some trending topics right now. So our director, Cody Merrow, bang. See, we're getting there. So, Bully, we go. Yeah, right there, Cody. How'd it go, kid? So anyway, we sort of chop it up on Remember the Show. Whether we have a game show or not, Bully and I will go back and forth sort of on some different topics, really more back to him. And I'll sort of tee him up a little bit because you want to get what he has to say. So we're just going to sort of roll. Sometimes on a Thursday, as we say, if we're talking about a previous week's fight, it's going to be stale. But when it comes to Sweet Dreams Hill, it's just not stale. Got to talk about Jamal Hill, our man Jamal Hill. So he's been on Remember the Show twice victorious, and we will talk about Remember the Show. So and on his second victory, going up against Brandon Moreno on Remember the Show, couldn't have been more gracious, giving Brandon the opportunity to answer some questions. But we'll talk about his performance in the octagon. So, dude, those of you watching Remember the Show, you got to think you saw the main event last week. So just smelling blood in the water in that fourth round and just getting it done against the veteran Santos. I'm so happy for Jamal. Bumped up to the 6th spot. He was cooked after that fight. Some good adversity. Like seeing him getting into that big championship round. What did you think of your boy, Jamal?
Man, he looked great. And I feel like he proved a lot of doubters wrong. A lot of people are coming up with that, Thiago's fought a lot tougher guys. Thiago's been in there longer, the experience thing. But Jamal showed it, man. He showed how tough he is, how good he is, and he had to adjust. He had to do a lot of changes. I wouldn't have expected Thiago Santos to go in there wrestling. And when you're making a striker like Santos who throws bombs at you and you're making him wrestle, it just shows that how hard you're hitting or how good you are with your striking as well. And the fact that he kept bouncing right back up off the floor when he would get taken down, or he wasn't settling at all on the ground. He was always pushing his head away, getting his back to the cage, getting up. It tells me that he trains everything. There's guys out there that they had that one punch knockout power. They had that success knocking guys out that, they're not training as hard in the gym, or they're not pushing it as hard in the gym in other areas like the grappling areas. Because a lot of bigger guys, they don't want to grapple. They don't want to wrestle. A lot of people don't like to wrestle, especially if I have that one punch knockout power. I'm going to be like, bro, I'll take him down with this left hook. And, he shows he does everything. And me and him were actually, we drove together to one of our fights. We were on the same card. And the whole time he's telling me like, yeah, bro, these people don't think I got jiu-jitsu. I got jiu-jitsu. I got grappling. And I'm just thinking that this is my first time meeting him. I'm thinking he's blowing smoke, but like he showed it. He showed he has great grappling, great everything. He's a well-rounded fighter. And he showed a lot of heart and cardio getting the finish in the fourth round, where a lot of these guys will start breaking down later in the rounds. He showed in the championship rounds. He still has that finishing power.
Oh, and the opportunity to compete in the UFC's octagon in those championship rounds, even whether it's a finish in the fourth round or getting through 5 rounds, I just think it's invaluable. John referred to Jamal Hill. This might have been a year and a half ago now, but he used the word special to describe him. And when I first heard it, I was like, all right, yeah, I see a special boxer, and, I think he's a special athlete. But this dude looks like he really has a shot to be a future champion.
Yeah, I for sure think he does have that shot to be a future champion. And I think that, honestly, I don't think it's crazy that he's calling out Yuri right now. I think that he can go out there and finish these top guys right now. A lot of these guys haven't finished Thiago Santos. Who's the last guy to finish Thiago Santos? John Jones couldn't even finish him. And he did what these guys couldn't do. Even Ankalaev, he didn't finish Santos. And it was like more of a lackadaisical fight because Santos is such a scary fighter. He does throw those bombs. And even Jamal Hill was taking those bombs. Jamal Hill got some hard hooks, and he still stayed right there. He didn't get rocked at all. He didn't get dazed at all. He didn't back down. He didn't switch the fight to wrestling. And it just shows me he got a real hard chin on him. And this guy is good everywhere. And I think the UFC honestly needs to start pushing him more, promoting him more. Because if you follow him on Instagram, this guy's hilarious. He has a great personality. He's kind of like a Rafion Stotts, where I say that, this guy's so good, so talented, and he has the personality to back it up. How are these guys not seeing what I'm seeing right now, where they should be pushing him on every single commercial they have?
Dude, I'm with you. I'm a big fan, and his following's growing in a lot the way yours has. Sort of people are starting to connect with the human, as the fighter sort of rises up through the ranks. Anyway, and I hate to do it, but we got to get back to last weekend's card in the welterweights, because I can't not talk to Belal, remember the name Muhammad, about this fight between Jeff Neal and Vicente Luque from last weekend. By the way, Cody had some footage up of some of your fights in the past. I think it was beating Diego Lima handily, but it's amazing to hear the Belal, out of Belal. I mean, we've definitely revolutionized Belal. I think people are getting it right now. And I'm proud of that, because it should be pronounced the right way, especially when it's strap season.
Yes,
anyway,
sir.
All right, to the welterweight. So Jeff Neal does get Vicente Luque out of there in round 3, which had been a difficult thing to do. You've been in there with both dudes. So post-fight interview, Jeff Neal, now granted, I guess he called out Vicente Luque, but I guess he says, and I quote, "I already fought Belal. I beat Belal. I don't think Belal wants to get beat again." And I'm not even trying to say that. He can say, I'm not even trying to stir something up with you. He can say what he wants to say, whatever it is. More sort of wanting to get your thoughts on that matchup, because you've been in there with both of those dudes, and it's a very important fight for both of those guys. Jeff Neal on a much different trajectory than he was 12 months ago.
Yeah, honestly, it was a great fight. And, when I was fighting Luque, we saw that he's not very good against southpaws, and he gets hit a lot by southpaws. So that's why a lot of time during my fight, I was switching to southpaw, hitting him with that hard body kick and straight left hand, because we saw it in his fights. When he fought Bam Bam Barbonero, and it was a war, and you're thinking like, how could he go to war with Barbonero? And like, Barbonero's not at his level, but it's more so just because Barbonero has a great chin, first of all, and he's a southpaw, and I just don't think that Luque does well against southpaw. So I said that if Jeff Neal came ready, there's some fights where he looks great and he looks ready, and you're thinking that this guy could be a top contender, and then there's fights where you're looking at him against a guy like Neil Magny, you're like, man, did this guy even train for this fight? And you can just tell that he's not really in there, or he's not taking it as serious. And I've talked to his coaches, and his coaches told me before, like, I have a good relationship with his team and with Jeff. So when he even said that, I was like, bro, all right, cool, I'm down. Like, I'm always down to fight, and for me to get that one back, I'm like,
right,
all right,
no,
makes it easier for me. So I'm like, all right, sweet. Like I don't take anything to heart or anything like that. Ramiz even called me right afterward, and Ramiz like, hey bro, I just want you to know, bro, there's no hard feelings or anything like that. Jeff, honestly, you didn't mean to say that. I was like, bro, he just won his fight. We're in the same division. We're both fighting for we want the same thing. We want the title. I have a higher position than him, so he wants my spot. And he's probably thinking like, bro, I beat this guy. How is he above me? So for me, I'm like, well, all right, well, come and get it because I want that win back. I'm not a guy that's going to back down from that fight.
Yeah. Well put. Say no more.
I love it. I just think that a lot of the thing with Luque too also is that, he gets too comfortable taking hits. And he's a guy that keeps his hands up, but he's not really doing any defense. This is not good defense. This is just keeping your hands up. If the guy hits your hands, it's all right for them. But if a guy who has great precision and great speed like Jeff, who's going to pick those spots and, hit him with 8 uppercuts in a row because Luque was just staying right here. Instead of, when you get to a point where you're rocked or anything like that, he didn't have like a plan B of let me grapple you. Let me try Muay Thai clinch. Let me try shooting on you or anything like that. Luque is one of those guys, his chin is held up for him so long that it's like, all right, I'll get rocked a little bit, but I'm always going to come back with this left hook. I'm going to come back with this right hand, and it's going to hurt this other guy. But Jeff did a very good job of constantly moving after he hit him. He didn't stay there. You hear his coach screaming in the corner every time, like, stay outside the left hand, stay outside the left hand, stay outside the left hand, keep moving left. Keep flanking. So you don't get stuck in that pocket. Like what I had to do with Luque was constant moving. Because if you stay in front of him, that's where that counter comes, that hard left hook and that hard right hand. And Jeff did a great job of hitting and staying out of that way, staying out of the way. And then when he rocked him, he didn't let off.
I saw a shot of Luque in the hospital with manager Ali Abdelaziz. I mean, is he all right? Do you know? I mean, he got pretty banged up. It looked like he was, spending a little time there.
I actually messaged him, and I was like, man, I hope you're doing well, brother. That was a great fight, great war. And he seemed okay. He seemed all right. He just said, okay, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, so I think he's all right. I just think it's one of those where it wasn't like it was like a one-shot thing where you got knocked out off one shot. Like, he got dropped a couple times. And he took some hard hits throughout the fight. So I'm pretty sure it was precautionary reasons that he had to go probably get checked out at the hospital. And I'm sure, his face is probably feeling it from swelling or anything like that. But like I said, Luque is one of those guys. He's going to be at the top no matter what because he could finish anybody at any time with any of those punches. It's just those guys that aren't going to be into a brawl with you. Those guys that aren't just going to settle and give you that brawl that you want because every guy who's giving you that, they ended up losing.
Cody just chimed in. You had 4 more takedowns than Jeff Neal against Vicente Luque. just make sure everyone's was on.
Hey, yeah, and big thing I'm getting people like, oh well, he finished Luque, you couldn't finish Luque. I'm like, first of all, there's a difference when you're fighting a guy coming off of 5 wins in a row and a guy coming off of loss. And there's a different mentality for that fighter as well. And I would say that Jeff Neal took a lot of the stuff that I use in my fight with Luque, and he used it in his fight. So. There's a blueprint. The same way where I took Gilbert's blueprint of beating Wonderboy, I just did it and then did it better than him. He just took my blueprint and did it better than me against Luque. So, and to all the haters out there, oh, well, you couldn't finish him. He did. Luque's a tough guy. There's not a lot of guys that finish him. And Luque, I was fighting Luque off of 5 wins in a row, a lot of momentum.
Yeah. And it's still a green stripe. And now we're focused on Sean Brady. Any further questions? All these motherfuckers, including some people I know pretty well. Anyway, moving on. So Usada don't. Wait, one more thing on the welterweight, just to say Sean Brady moved up to number 7. I know it's irrelevant to you, but it is somewhat interesting to me.
That was a weird move up. I thought either Jeff would probably go to 6 or even 5. Like those rankings really didn't make any sense to me of how they adjusted.
Yeah. Well, anyway, either way, he was down a lot further and now he's closer anyway.
I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. We're just looking to get rid of that. Oh, we don't care about those other numbers. So Usada don't. So there, Usman tweeted something out. So Kamaru Usman, I guess 9 days out from a fight, is getting woken up by Usada at like 5 a.m. And I guess Alexander Volkanovski at some point during his fight camp, I guess at like 2 a.m. or during his fight week at 2 a.m. he was woken up in the middle of the night. And look, this is certainly more your business than mine, but certainly for someone like you who doesn't put anything in your body. What is this like? I mean, when you see the champ in your division come out like 9 days out from fight week, he said, follow me around, just stay with me. Would you wake me up at 5 a.m.? Talk to me about this. This doesn't have to be this way.
Honestly, yeah, it gets very annoying. Like, there's times where they don't even just like ring your doorbell. They'll bang on your door at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m., like they're the police. And you're like, who the heck is this? And there was a couple of times where I was just like, bro, what the heck is wrong with you guys? Like, why would you come this early? Oh, well, they just give us this time. And it really doesn't make any sense. And then I'll look at guys like Anthony Pettis, where like the Usada will be at the gym ready to test him. And he'll be like, well, you guys are going to have to wait for me until I'm done training. I was like, man, why are you doing a bogus, man? They have to like wait here 2 hours for him to train. And then he's like, yo, I got to go pick up my daughter from school. So they have to follow him to go pick up his daughter from school. But now I'm understanding it now, because when they aren't knocking at your door at 5 a.m., it's annoying to you. So when that same guy is going to come at 2 p.m. during your practice time, well, you know what? I'm going to finish my practice. I'm going to finish my
right.
School, so you got to follow me now. And it all makes sense now. Like when Kamaru brought that up, I'm like, honestly, I would, especially if you're the champion and, fight week, you already have all this stress coming out at you. You're in weight cut mode. You have a million things you're thinking about. Probably everybody's calling you for tickets and everything like that. Now you got to wake up at 5 a.m., throws off your whole sleep time.
Yeah, routines.
It's so annoying.
It's interesting. And everyone has a different mentality. And some people, sleep is very important. And monitoring a rapid eye movement or whatever they're doing, And I don't know, man. I just think it's a professional athlete with a huge fight on his hands. And you just don't know all the circumstances. I don't know, man. Rubbed me the wrong way. I just thought it was interesting. What's the worst they've ever bothered you?
Yeah, they've come to my house at 5 a.m., 5:30 a.m. And there was like a couple of times where, you just forget to put your whereabouts. Like, now I'm in San Diego. Honestly, I didn't even put it in my whereabouts. I forgot to put it in there. So now I got to go back and put it in there. But they'll literally call you and they're like, I got a strike because like I was in Vegas and I didn't tell them I was going to be in Vegas. So then they have to give you a strike. And if you get 3 strikes, then you get suspended. That's what happened to Yair that one time where he ended up getting suspended, I think like 8 months or something like that. And everybody's like, well, he's probably on steroids, this, and this. And I'm like, bro, Yair is one of those guys he's in the gym one day, then the next day he's in freaking mountains or he's scuba diving or he's just at a random spot. And just literally sometimes you just forget to put your whereabouts in there.
What a joke. Moving on. Yeah. So bet lost, I guess is the question. So we got to jump back to Juliana Pena, Amanda Nunes. So did you and Kayla Harrison have a wager of some sort on this title bout?
Yes. I had to take my girl, Juliana. Last time we had Kayla out here singing on the show, and it got a lot of ratings. So I was trying to get the same thing going.
She did some things very well. Yep. Go ahead.
Man, but
So what was the bet? Would you lose? She
said that I got to go to her finals fight, and I got to wear what she wants me to wear. So
is that's probably not a possibility, right? It's in London. Is she?
This next one is playoffs, and then I think the finals are in November.
Okay.
So all right. We may be taking a vacation after the fight anyway.
Yeah, that makes sense. Fresh off another dub, that'll work for you.
Yeah, that'll work for you.
So that's interesting. So and you are going to hold up your end of the bet some way because Kayla certainly has been loyal to you in the program.
Yeah, I have to. I'm not one of those guys to ever back down from a bet. And I truly thought my girl was going to win this fight, so I got to put it on her no matter what. But yeah, a Lannister always pays his debts.
Yeah, I love it. So with this topics thing we got going on, and please, anyone tuning in to remember the show, feel free to get in the comments. I saw someone comment last week about didn't really like the name scramble category. Yeah, I can understand if some of the names aren't scrambled, but we'll take any feedback you want. One of the categories Cody mentioned that we might do is bully bag, where you would just every week have something that Cody and I might not even know about. You'll pull something out because believe me, there's a lot of things in that steel trap of yours that I'm sure you'd like to get to. So anyway, some days we might have more categories. Who knows? But either way, the game show's still going to be part of it, but we're just going to roll this out a little bit. So moving on, judge me not. So, and Cody, you might have to help me on this one. So the guy, Seth Fuller, I think is his name. So I guess he scored round 3 of the fight. Dontel Mays in the split decision win. I guess Hamdi Abdel Wahab won the fight, I guess, but he was speaking publicly about his scorecard. I guess he didn't like some of the things the broadcast guys were saying about something that was overheard about what the broadcast were saying about one of his scorecards, whatever it is. But so he came out, I guess, and it was a long video. Sorry, it was like 28 minutes, Cody. I didn't get into it, but I guess, he came out and sort of talked about and was sort of coming back and sort of defending it or whatever, just talking about, being accountable to sort of his scorecard. And I guess these guys aren't supposed to be chirping about anything. The guys that are judging, they're not supposed to sort of talk much or whatever. But, it's kind of refreshing to hear from someone and sort of speaking about it, even though I didn't digest all of it. But from your standpoint, as a fighter, I mean, these judges, do you want to hear from them when you see a round or something that's just outrageous and you disagree? I mean, do you want to hear from them? Do you want them to defend it? Do you want them to say, oh, I messed this one up?
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely want to hear from them to see what they're looking for, what they're looking at. Because even that Hamdi fight, I didn't think it was a split decision. I thought that Hamdi dominated that fight. So that really didn't make sense. So now I'm going to make me want to go look what this guy said or the reasons why he said that he gave it to Dontel Mays. Because, this is half your check. If you end up losing a fight because of one judge, his mind, you're like, how the heck did I lose this fight? And it doesn't make any sense at all. And, this judge's not judging every fight the same exact way because they have their own little bias, or every judge. Now, this judge really likes grappling, so he gives grappling more than striking, more points than that. Because I feel like it's basically all bias no matter what. So like every judge has their own opinion of everything. So there are probably more judges out here that think, striking is more important than grappling, or submission attempts are more important than just holding guys down. So it would be interesting to hear what these guys say after a fight. If any one of them is willing to come out and talk about their scorecards after every single fight, that'd be cool.
And I got to be honest, I don't like talking about judging and scoring, but it's almost a disservice to the fighters if you sort of take that angle, because it's so a split decision win can just be such a big swing for, so it's almost, you gotta sort of be willing to dive in and get something right that really, I think has no business necessarily being wrong. However, and we were talking earlier about the arm bars, Juliana Pena, if you get someone with my eye, right, and I'm watching that event live, I'm not on top of the octagon quite like the officials, but I'm asking you earlier, like these arm bars, I mean, are all these, I mean, how do they, a submission, Dana said in a press conference recently, a knockdown is much better than a submission attempt. These arm bar or whatever attempts they are from Juliana, are these all attempts? Do all these judges have the same knowledge base to look at that? I don't know.
Yeah, that's one of those where unless you actually do jiu-jitsu, I don't think you would understand the submission attempts. Because like I said, I was sitting there watching the fights with 4 or 5 people. None of them do jiu-jitsu, but they're all looking at, oh my God, look at her arm. And it was just literally like the omoplata part where it wasn't really on her shoulder, and it's a shoulder lock. So there was really nothing there, but it looked like Juliana was actually doing something. So if you're a judge,
you got the Dallas crowd going nuts,
Yeah, you're a judge, and you're like, what's going on? So what is that? Yeah, you have the crowd going nuts, and it's like swaying you toward that way. Maybe that's a submission attempt, maybe that's not. But you never know nowadays with what these people are seeing or what they practice on their own.
Yep. And you think back to like a very clean fight, you and Damian Maia, very easy to score 2-1, right? But think about that trajectory. If something just gets messed up there, you know what I mean? It's just crazy.
I think about that all the time, and I tell people that all the time, and I'm just like, I must be doing something right, because even though I'm getting these decisions, I'm getting them all right.
Great point.
Whether these judges are good or bad,
it's not a split.
Winning.
Bingo. No splits there. Anyway, so it's a good time to roll in. That was a good first go around at trending topics. We'll get into Bully's Bix now if you're ready, Cody. Clearly not. Sorry. You hear me say clearly not, such a jerk. And then it says, are you ready on the graphic? I love it. Cody, where you at, kid? Cody's going to drop on for Bix here and there. There he is.
I'm here. Cody. Yeah, I'm out from under that bus you just threw me under.
I had, I mean, sometimes I'm working on this here, right? Did I have my mic muted at the start of the show? That was great.
You're lucky I don't jump down your throat for saying the West Coast is better than the East Coast, so that's fine.
I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, but Belal's in San Diego.
Doesn't sound like it, kid. You're trashing the freaking East Coast. See, I had to censor myself.
But Belal, right? I mean, it's just, there's something about walking outside in San Diego, California. It's just like, whoa.
Dude.
And it's not like,
like, damn. Dude, you're like, I could beat up everybody here.
Have you been to California, Cody?
Soft. No, I haven't. I don't know. I'm anti-California.
Oh, yeah. See, there's some of us from New England, Belal, and I might have been in this category where it's like we just have hate for areas and things that you have no business having hate for. No business for anyone from New England to have hate for California for no reason, unless like
I mean, mine's more. It's more in New York. So people would be like, it's New York or LA. Like that's the argument. usually. But yes,
Okay.
you are right. Boston does hate LA.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I
Well,
get
so
double
I'll
the
go
hate for
LA,
being
New York or LA every day and twice
No,
on fucking Sunday.
definitely not with sports championships. But go on.
So before we get into these three Bicks, GM3, right? So Bruno Silva's the opponent. I know you're obviously not going to get into great detail, but Gerald Meerschaert plus 240, right where you want to be, Gerald, right where you like it. 2.5 to 1 underdog. No respect as usual. Choke him out, Gerald. Anything about your boy's fight? Certainly a big one for him.
Yeah, we love that underdog role. Gerald's one of those guys that look at the lineup of everybody who he's fought. He's fought the toughest guys in that division. He has the most submissions in that division right now. And Bruno Silva's lost all of his fights by submission or against Pereira knockout. But, I think this is like a perfect stylistic matchup for Gerald to go out there and, finish a guy that a lot of people are thinking are going to go out there and finish Gerald, because this is Gerald's first fight, full camp at Sanford MMA. So he changed camps. He's out there with a lot bigger guys. There's a lot more bodies out there for him. And you're working with great coaches out there. So I think it's like the perfect time for him to make that change. And, if he was the middleweight submission leader at Rufus-Sport with really not a lot of training partners at the moment. So now he's working with a bunch of UFC guys over there. And, he got me in his corner. Like, I think this would be a great chance for him.
And before Cody jumps in, that's not, you can joke because you're humble, but that's a big deal. You do great work in the corner. And I'm not just, look, there are plenty of guys that have been lauded for great corner work. James Krause, Eric Nixick, to name a couple, and no disrespect to anyone, but Bully, we've talked about this, even when you're 40 and beyond, or 45 and you're done fight coaching. I'm telling you, there's a future there for you. I'm excited I hope we can get the mic on the broadcast, for real. Like, cause I know you feel like you can help him.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, he's taught me so much. He's helped me so much. So the fact that he asked me to be in his corner and asked me to come down with him, it means a lot to me. Because like I said, like when my teammates fight, when my boys fight, like I get more nervous than them because I want them to win so bad. And I know how much he put into this camp. It wasn't like, I'm just going out there to fight to fight. Like he literally went to Sanford MMA out there 8 weeks, left his wife and kid back at home. So, he's dedicated to this right now. And I can't wait for him to go out there Saturday night and put on a show.
Cody, you got to be excited to see GM3.
I know. I'm excited to end the show so I can run to the window. I just cashes. GM3 by sub. Let me get it.
Yeah, exactly. So one more shout out, Angela Hill fighting. I always love when Angela Hill's fighting. Lupe Godinez, always just hoping Angie makes a run. She's ranked 13th right now. She's been on the other end of some split decisions and different things. I'm always just excited. I love her. I'm excited to see her hopefully get a win.
Yeah, I looked at that. I was like, wait, when did she take this fight like on 5 days notice or something like that? I'm like, that's a really good fight. Her against Lupe. Lupe's a beast. And Angela's a beast. Like you said, it comes down to those decisions where the judges, one judge could have given it to her, and like her whole career could have been different because there's a lot of tough fights she's had, whereas a lot of them are split decision. A lot of people thought she would lose to these people, and she went out there, put on wars, put on battles, and it was always that one judge that ruined it for her.
Yep. All right, so moving on to the Bicks, we'll stay with the ladies. So the number 12 ranked flyweight, Cynthia Calvillo, is taking on the number 9th ranked strawweight, Nina Nunes, but this will take place at flyweight, I believe. So should be a close fight. Calvillo, slight, almost 2-1 favorite. So question is, can Nina keep the momentum going for the Nunes family? Both of these ladies, Nina's lost 2 straight, Tatiana Suarez, Mackenzie Dern. Calvillo lost 3 in a row. One of these ladies has to get off the schneid. Nina is a dog. Who are you going with, Bully? Gonna make the Nunes family happy with your pick here?
Yeah, I was literally just gonna pick the Nina just so Amanda doesn't freaking punch me when I'm not looking. She's about to Kobe coming to me right now. She's about to walk in right now and just swing off me, and I was like,
she's probably a little still banged up. You'll be all right.
I wouldn't want her squaring up with me, let alone cold cocking me.
Yeah,
right. Just square up, like, nah, I'm good. Like, whatever you want to do, Amanda. Like,
I wanted to like have her like come and like fake slap me, and then somebody record it from behind and like just let it just go viral and let the world see it. So I'm gonna see how nice she is the next time I see her.
You put that Nick Diaz audio on, you'd be like, where I'm from, people get slapped.
That's a good idea. Now I'm gonna start looking for her.
I like it.
Yeah. Should have the baby slap you. That would be even worse.
Well, the baby will be there.
These girls. Both of them are coming off, 3 losses for Cynthia, 2 losses in a row for Nina. And Nina took a lot of time off that last one. She came back and ended up she went against killer. It's not like she went against a bum against Mackenzie Dern. Cynthia, I feel like she just keeps switching gyms. She's trying to find her place. I feel like she came into the UFC with a lot of hype, and the UFC was trying to push her early, and I feel like that pressure kind of got to her a little bit, and she forgot what got her here. Got her is her grappling, her wrestling, things like that. That's what she's good at. And her last couple of fights, she's been trying to strike. And it hasn't been what she's good at. And I'm looking at her Instagram and things, and she's doing a lot of boxing, working with a lot of boxing coaches. But what got you to the dance is your grappling. I think she needs to go back to that and use that more. Nina, I think I'm going to go with Nina after seeing how good Amanda looked that last fight. Working with a new camp, she looked great. So I'm thinking that she's going to come in here with new tools, new ideas as well. So I think I'm going to pick the Nunes family, keep that momentum going.
Cody.
No bias in that pick. That's okay.
I
actually agree with you, Bully, because if you go back and look at it, so Calvillo's last win, August 2020, Nunes' last win was in 2018 against Claudia Gadelha. But the last two losses for Nina were against Tatiana Suarez and Mackenzie Dern. So what is Calvillo best at? Her ground game, her BJJ, her wrestling. That's what she's, kind of known for. And so in my opinion, Nunes has been training for that fight for years, so obviously that's not the case. You're not training in a full camp for that amount of time. She obviously had a baby. There's a lot of extenuating circumstances outside of the octagon, but you do train with the best female fighter in the world. And if you've been training all of these wrestling skills for the last 4 or 5 years, feasibly you're prepared for somebody like Cynthia Calvillo. So I don't know how Cynthia Calvillo is a minus 180, especially, both of them coming off a significant, kind of loss streak. So I think it's very interesting that the odds makers have it that way. And I would say Nina Nunes there should be a pick 'em, but I like Nina Nunes in this fight as well.
So we're going to move to the co-main event. It's hard for me not to just have my mind already on the main event, but I'm just going to get through the co-main event. Nate Landwehr, David Onama. So Onama, for me, this guy's all the rage. Silent Assassin, 10-1 as a pro. He's with James Krause. 1-2 straight, both finishes. So Landwehr been around a while, plus 230. Coming off a big win, Anaconda submission choke against Ludovic Klein, who I've been sort of following for a while. That guy can fight Ludovic Klein. He's won 2 in a row. So it's interesting. Landwehr's faced some tough guys. I think this co-main event actually is sneaky good. Cody, why don't you start us out on the co-main event?
And I'll start us out talking about the odds at the beginning of the week. So when we did the Anik and Florian podcast, Onama was only a minus 195. He swelled to a minus 275 today on DraftKings Sportsbook. Yeah, so, I love it too. I think Onama should be the favorite here. Landwehr has fought a lot of tough competition, obviously against Klein and Elkins are his 2 wins in the UFC. I mean, those are really stiff competition, but I do think Onama's just quicker, faster, sharper. He trains with James Krause, who's now a championship belt holding head coach. Got to think that that's going to bring some confidence to the whole gym, and to Krause especially. So also the huge kicker, the X factor for me, put it up on the screen. David Onama's been on Remember the Show, and Nate Landwehr hasn't. So, obviously, David Onama should be the favorite, minus 275. I think it's a little steep, but I like Onama to win.
I mean, he was terrible on Remember the Show, but
exactly, he can't perform worse than that, right? He got that out of the way, bad performance out of the way.
Yeah, but I think momentum is a big thing in this sport, and he's been staying busy, staying active, getting a big finish his last fight. Onama's been looking good. I like the guy. I love the way he fights. I think this is another short notice that he just stepped in to fight this guy. Landwehr, I feel like, I don't know if he's coming off an injury or something, but it's been a while since the last fight, right? And he's a guy, he's a banger. He comes to fight. I saw his post today or something like that where the UFC had it, where my fight style, I think it was just like dangerous or something stupid. But that's what he is. These guys going to be in your face. He looked good his last fight, really good his last fight. That was a great submission win against Klein, who is a beast. I think Onama, he just needs to go out there and not brawl for brawl with him. Fight a little bit smarter. I think he's a lot faster, a lot quicker on the feet. And I think he could pick him apart from the feet and end up getting a finish. But just don't try to force it. Just let it come to you. And I think Onama will end up finishing this fight.
So
October 2021 was his last fight.
Landwehr. What's that?
Okay.
Landwehr's last fight was last October.
All right, so we're just gonna move right into the main event. I just can't get enough of this main event. So I'm just gonna. I'm gonna
on Monday. Let me just tell you, I gotta update this.
Yeah,
this is what the odd was on Monday.
Dude, the top 15 at bantamweight is just stupid. It's bananas, man. So anyway, Cheeto, younger fighter, 29. Cruz is 36. Cheeto's won 3 straight. Most recently, unanimous decision win over Rob Font, who had missed weight in the Apex back in April. So Dom called that fight. Dominic was working, called that fight. He likes not to, and he's very insightful. He had a very interesting press conference, but he doesn't like to call bantamweight fights, especially contenders or people that he might be fighting. So anyway, it was fascinating that he called that fight back in April. But it was interesting. So Dominic at his press conference, his pre-fight presser it was interesting. Someone asked him about Cheeto, and he didn't want to give too much juice, but he talked about what Cheeto might have gained from his losses. And that was sort of what Dom not feared, but was looking sort of watching out for the most, is just being in there, with Jose Aldo and Song Yadong and losing to those guys and what he might have taken from those fights. And I thought that was an interesting point from Cruz. Another thing Cruz said, he said in terms of his injuries, he obviously is healthy, strong now. He said, quote, he's no longer coming back from a deficit, whereas he felt like every time he's training, he's just like, he's always sort of like less than 500. You know what I mean? He's always trying to get back to 500 time, and he really feels healthy. He really wants to chase a championship belt, and I'm sure Belal Muhammad doesn't think at 36 that's too late for Cruz. So just one more thing on Cruz, and I know Cheeto's the favorite, so someone got to give Cruz. So I saw a tweet today, and it was against the fence. The handle's against the fence with the number 3, but he said, so Cruz has never lost a non-title bout in his 17-year career. So let's been for a fight. He never lost a non-title fight, which I think is amazing. So I consider Dominic a friend. I'll be rooting hard for Dominic. It's interesting. My brother John is really close with both guys. Obviously spent a lot of time with Cruz, but I've spent a lot of time with Cruz. It reminds me a little bit of a Belal Muhammad fight week for me, where it's a different type of energy, almost like you with GM3. So I'm certainly rooting for my boy Cruz. I think he has a path to victory. A lot of people think Cheeto, younger, faster, stronger. One thing I heard Ray Longo say, and then I'll let you boys roll, but something about he doesn't think Cruz can hurt him, but he thinks he can frustrate Cheeto. So, Bully, talk to me about this fire main event.
Man, I cannot wait for this main event. So I'm definitely gonna stay in the arena. They better give me a seat because I want to definitely watch this fight.
A fudging chair.
Give him a headset.
Yeah, literally, right?
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense how you said that. Longo said that he can't finish him, but he can frustrate him. And I do feel like Cheeto does get frustrated a lot of the time in his fights. We've seen it in the Aldo fight where Aldo took his back to the 3rd round. You can just tell that he was annoyed, and he wasn't really trying to get out from taking him off his back, but he was just sitting there what the heck? But it's Aldo has the better position here, so you need to start figuring out a way to get out of there. And even kind of a little bit in the Edgar fight where Edgar was taking him down, controlling him on the ground for a little bit, and he did get the finish in the end. But if he didn't get that finish, he would have probably ended up losing that decision, because Edgar figured out a way. And Cruz, you're seeing him training with Roman Bravo Young, who's a 3-time national champ, and you're like, all right, well, looks like he found his path to victory, and he's going to probably use a lot of wrestling this fight. Cheeto is very crafty off his back. He's not a guy that's just going to lay on his back and, just let you freaking lay on top of him for 5 rounds. He's going to go out there, throw big elbows, try to split you open off your back, and it makes it uncomfortable for you. We see even in an Edgar fight, Edgar was standing up because Cheeto was elbowing so much off his back, and those elbows hurt. They're not freaking etiquette. Yeah, that stuff stinks. So I think that this could go either way. I think that for me, I'm picking Marlon Vera because he was on Remember the Show, and he's the man. Right. I just
did I have COVID when he was on the show? I don't think I was on that show, but anyway, good.
Really?
And that's circumstantial. Anyway, I don't think I was. I really
yeah,
anyway,
he was I think stylistically, just the kind of momentum too. While that fight against Font, he looked so good. And Font's a monster. And I think that Cheeto, the first couple rounds, he's reading you kind of like Anderson Silva, figuring out what he needs to do against you, and then he starts opening up on you. Cruz, it's going to be hard to read him and figure him out just because his footwork is so weird and unorthodox. And, people could say he's older, but his style is still different for a lot of guys. There's not a lot of guys using his type of style now, where a lot of guys are figuring out his footwork. Still hard to do. And unless you're a champion, a lot of these other guys can't figure him out. And I think that's what frustrates a lot of these guys. For Marlon, you just got to stay disciplined. I think you have to watch the takedown, use a lot of your longer weapons like your kicks, knees, go up the middle a lot. And, he's going to be moving a lot, and I think that's when the kicks come in because, he moves his head a lot too. So you throw a punch, bring a high kick off the side, and you could end up catching Dominic Cruz. I don't think he's going to be a finish. I think it's going to be a tough decision. I think even a split decision because Cruz is so crafty and so good. He's not just going to get dominated by anybody. And I think he'll always figure out a way. And we've seen his toughness in his last fight against Munoz, but he got rocked early and then came back the second and third round, figured out a way to win.
Cody, before you hop in, I'm glad we have 5 rounds because I think there is going to be inevitably a lot of feeling each other out. Cody, talk to me.
Well, so that's where I was going to pick it up is because you mentioned off the top that Dominic Cruz has had never lost a non-title fight, right? But how many non-title fights has he fought that were 5 rounds? Probably never, right?
Right.
So I think it's a very interesting circumstance there where I would argue that the 5 rounds in this fight, whereas most of the time Dominic Cruz in a 5-round fight, in a title fight, it's an advantage to him. I don't know if that's an advantage against Chito because, as you said, if maybe Chito does get frustrated and the wrestling kind of gets to him in the first couple of rounds, but we all know wrestling empties the gas tank more than anything. Dom, obviously known for his gas tank, but maybe Chito takes more risks in those extra rounds if it goes that far. Maybe Chito's more willing to throw a little extra on some of those overhands or, throw one of those or head kicks and catch him. I think most of the time the extra rounds are an advantage to Dom. I think in this fight, it's probably not. It's probably a null advantage. So it's interesting when you think about that in those terms. And then also I think the benefit to Cruz with it being in San Diego is kind of a detriment, right? Because of all the family and the friends and all of that aspect. But fighting in your backyard, sleep in your own bed, you get the aspect of the crowd, which Dominic Cruz said was a huge aspect of his Cejudo fight that, made it go the way that it did. So I am going to have to go contrarian against Belal here and say, I think Dominic Cruz does get it done. I agree. I think it goes to a decision. I think Cruz is going to do enough to get the victory here. And then, maybe turn around against maybe a Sandhagen or someone up the rankings, but I think he's a fight away from a title shot no matter where he is, depending on how things shake out anyway.
It's just, I love you guys being on different sides of it. It's just fascinating fight. And for Cruz,
the director's in my ear. So, I gotta,
I just remember being around Cruz when he was sort of get through some of the injuries and just how patient he was. And even being his fan, I was just like, what is he? He was just so kind of relaxed talking about it, just very matter of fact. And I think he's alluded to a lot of this, but just being as young as he was as a champion, he's just, his experience is second. You know what I mean? He is not messing. He wants gold. That's it. And 36, nothing. Let's go.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm excited. I know plenty of respect for Chito. Chito's filthy, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, folks, tuning in to Remember the Show. We appreciate you being with us. We're going to try and tighten things up consistently, be here every Thursday night. Belal obviously has important things to attend to with his camp and all that, but we'll be here. Any suggestions for topics or categories for the game show, whatever it is, maybe we'll have some contestants next week for you, a little game show, but we always appreciate you being with us. Check out Remember the Shop for Bully's gear, even though he's blasting that young LA everywhere.
I'm in Cali right now. I got to rock it.
Exactly. And obviously you can check our stuff out, Anik and Florian Podcast.com.
Should be Young NYC. That's all I'm saying.
What's that?
Should be Young NYC.
Young NYC. Oh yeah. Get out of here with that. Anyway, for our esteemed director, Cody Merrow, and the 5th ranked UFC welterweight Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. I'm Jason Anik. We'll see you next week, Thursday night, 8:30. Remember the show. Thank you guys. Later.
Peace.